Are you suggesting that a married couple would hold hands in public?
I know, right? How fucking scandalous.
The,
In Britain of all places, right? No sex
the,
post are British.
the Straits have gone too far.
Only you're marrying outside of the country, right? No, you're marrying outside, the monarchic kind of sphere, the aristocracy. You're also marrying somebody of the wrong race. It's like the absolute fucking trifecta of all the things that would undermine their, colonial racist, aristocratic understanding of what the monarchy is and or should be.
Peace that had once reigned in that family has been diluted, has been diverted. So that's point number one. He's
Diluted, just like the gene pool, hey?
Hey!
By diluted, I mean that she's just that one person. I think has doubled the depth of that gene pool. Ironically.
True. There are now a second gene has been added.
Exactly. It's now multiple genes that exist in that family. There's a chance that not all of them will be born with 7 toes. Another in the long line of Brown Lady did a thing, and therefore Gammon are angry.
Very, very true. Very, very true. I think what this is literally Harry and Meghan holding hands behind some procession to do with the Queen's death. I don't know what it was. Literally behind fucking the Tyndalls, also holding hands. But
are you suggesting that a married couple would hold hands in public?
I know, right? How fucking scandalous. In Britain of all places, right? No sex post are British.
The Straits have gone too far.
They really, really have. But the Tyndalls were literally in front of them holding hands.
Yeah.
Did they get any shit? No. Are they both white? Yes. Strokey beard.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
And I turn your attention next to another royal story, because as I explained at the top of the hour, I feel that my gears are malfunctioning when it
grieving while black is an amazing phrase. Thank you.
Comes to non-royal stuff at the moment. It's as if you're fed an unleavened diet, if it almost... I think I got to page 38 of the Daily Mail today before I reached a story that wasn't about the Queen or her family. And I'm not criticising that. I'm not offering an opinion. That's just counting. But
well, you should criticise that. It's fucking mental.
Yeah.
We're going through some really tumultuous political times, and for those 38 pages, according to James, let's say those numbers are absolutely correct, are filled with a story that isn't really even a story, because literally nothing's really happening.
No.
She's dead in a box and people are walking past. No, it's extraordinary because still 9 hours, it's 10:30. Ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. But there's not a lot actually happening. You should criticise.
Yeah, actually, I mean, they criticise the fact that it's absolutely fucking... It's unreal. It's just completely unreal, the level to which people are just completely kind of capitulating to the narrative and capitulating to something as absurd as someone who they've never met, who they've never interacted with, who represents nothing, and apparently was supposed to do nothing and just be ceremonial, not really true, but let's go with it. And then they're literally just queuing for hours to go and see a fucking box.
Yeah. Also, again, they're definitely making them wear black on the radio, which is amazing.
Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah, literally. You're on the radio, you're forced to wear black.
Is why the front page of the Financial Times has a powerful story about Kwasi Kwarteng contemplating a policy designed to give bankers bigger bonuses. One of his first acts as Chancellor of the Exchequer, potentially to give the highest paid people in the country higher pay. Incredible. But even as I say it to you, I don't feel the sort of aligning of the cogs that I would normally feel as I prepare to get informative and incensed about something despicable happening in our country. Those gears are not working for me this week, and it's Thursday, so I doubt they're going to kick in properly until next week, which is why, if you're wondering and you've just tuned in, we are today, although not all week, looking largely at royal-based stories. This one is not... this is a royal story we could have at any point. It's not like the queue. It's not unique to this week or indeed this day. It's about the woman Meghan Markle, as was the Duchess of Sussex, as is. And I've got 2 reservations about having this conversation. The first is, I never know how much store we should set by social media bonfires, however huge they may appear to be. But that concern is assuaged by the fact that some household name quotes journalists, end quotes, in this country have grown very fat of late upon the diet of abusing this woman for reasons that continue to elude me, and abusing her in the vilest ways. And the second reservation I have is that today is Prince Harry's.
Like, I don't know why he's so confused as to the reason why they're berating this woman specifically. Might it not be an incredibly simple explanation, James, that these people are just really fucking racist? It's just a
Look,
thought.
you just call everyone who's racist these days.
Yeah, just the meme of the guy in the fucking SS uniform going, "Huh, so anyone who disagrees with you is automatically a Nazi."
Exactly, literally, yes. They're not racists. They've got concerns about brown people existing. Okay.
Yeah, concerns about what Boris Johnson would call the exotic DNA being added to the royal family, because he literally fucking said that shit.
Oh no, it's ridiculous. I mean, why didn't he just come out and say she's a grinning pickaninny with a watermelon smile? Fuck it. Bring out the classics.
Yeah, true.
Birthday, and it would therefore perhaps be inappropriate to have a conversation about why so many ghouls and vampires have such a problem with his wife. But I've decided that it's unlikely Harry will be listening today. I know he likes to tune in whenever he's in town, and he's a devil for the podcasts. But I'm fairly confident that he won't be.
Well, he's basically a podcaster himself now.
Yeah, quite.
He does his own podcasts in Los Angeles, and you're like, okay, good for him, I guess. Yeah.
He won't be listening live to the programme today, and even if he was, he would find nothing to complain about from what I have to say about him and his wife. Indeed, I think Prince Charles put it extremely well during his address to the nation last Thursday night. Here it is. Friday, was it? Sorry, last Friday night.
With Catherine beside him, our new Prince and Princess of Wales will, I know, continue to inspire and lead our national conversations, helping to bring the marginal to the centre ground, where vital help can be given. I want also to express my love for Harry and Meghan as they continue to build their lives overseas.
And these people who describe themselves as fans of the royal family, or as monarchists, or as royalists, choose a day like today or a day like yesterday to abuse the man and woman that Charles himself, the King of England, King Charles, chose to describe his love for in the most clear and incontrovertible of terms. And that's part of the confusion I have about these people. How can you think that you're showing some...
Well, like, the issue is, I don't know why he hasn't grasped this already. I mean, he might expand on this later on in the video. But the reason why they hate them so much, as well as them being racist, and because they, obviously that they feel like, somebody who is not white being injected into the royal family does somehow dilute the idea of the monarchy that they know and love, right? It's because of their position as monarchists and as royalists, or whatever you want to call it, why this, the racism comes out when it comes to Meghan Markle. And second, of course, is that they fundamentally believe that Harry and Meghan laying any criticism at the feet of the rest of the royal family, right, by again somehow diverging from the country's groupthink on what we should or should not believe the monarchy does or doesn't stand for. Right? Because they've somehow contravened the sacred understanding of what the royals are to the country. They are therefore, and anything goes, right? Any amount of horrendous shit can be used and will be used against them, and anything completely, as we've just seen with regards to them holding hands. Something completely fucking benign can be completely turned into this, this world-destroying thing that just shows the internal contempt that they must have for dear old grandmother and their dad, right?
Bro,
go for it.
And I would just say the fact that she's a commoner as well. The fact that the other commoners are now up in arms about that for some reason, especially because the whole point of having the royal family is so we can marry him off to a 12-year-old Castilian princess. Mm-hmm. Otherwise, what's the point? Really?
Yeah, exactly. and not just a commoner, an American commoner as well, right?
Which is, I mean, that's like there's commoner and then there's American. Jesus.
We think, like, we all remember the Mrs. Simpson scandal, how that fucking rocked the royal family to the core. And this is
Exactly.
this isn't the same as abdication, but it's still like you're marrying out. Not only you're marrying outside of the country, right? Not only you're marrying outside, the monarchic kind of sphere, the aristocracy. You're also marrying somebody of the wrong race. It's like the absolute fucking trifecta of all the things that would undermine their, colonial, racist, aristocratic understanding of what the monarchy is and or should be.
Yeah, and exactly, a divorced commoner. Outrageous. She's been in
Quite.
films and stuff. How degrading. Ugh.
Well, yeah, like she engaged in actual culture rather than the kind of deified pseudo culture that surrounds the monarchy.
Exactly, yeah. It reveals the fucking shallowness of the entire existence of these fucking group of inbred pricks.
Yeah, quite.
They
Yeah,
don't like
100%.
it.
Yeah, 100%.
Support for the monarchy by being vile about someone's son and daughter-in-law. People who he has expressed his love for in the most public way imaginable. What is it that you think you're doing when you condemn this couple? What you don't do you? I mean, I'm saying you. I doubt you're going to ring me. You're more than welcome to, but we're probably going to do a they of it. Do they think that Charles is sitting there in Buckingham Palace or wherever he sits at the moment, lying about how much he loves his son and daughter-in-law, and loving it when Doris Bunch-of-Numbers with a Union flag avatar on Twitter attacks his son, his beloved son and daughter-in-law? Is that what is the thought process that's going on here? Do these people think that they are because I can't think of anything that's less royalist. I mean, it's treasonous. If you really want to get medieval about it, to slag off the king's son and daughter-in-law in this way.
Exactly. Why is it that some members of the royal family you can criticise to the hilt, but some you can't even have blank pieces of paper about?
Well, it's interesting as well. I think, as I was saying from my kind of what I was saying before, clearly James does not understand the kind of mindset that these monarchists have, and about what internally the monarchy does represent to these people kind of implicitly. But also we've seen, that in the same way that people were very happy to criticize Charles when they thought that he was somebody who was an adulterer, who was besmirching the memory of Diana by marrying Camilla Parker Bowles. Suddenly becomes king, instantly becomes uncriticizable, right? And these people, obviously, because fucking monarchism is not a fucking coherent worldview in the slightest.
No, it's just sycophancy dressed up as constitutional arrangement.
Yeah, 100%.
To speak about them in such a disgusting and vitriolic fashion, to pick over their every pronouncement and step as if it is some sort of affront to British values. And the reason I'm coming to this story today is because I cannot get my head around how disgusting these people are. I'm not going to mince my words. I think you are truly disgusting. On the occasion of someone's grandmother's funeral, and I'm using the word funeral to describe the events of the whole week, okay, not just the coming events of Monday. Or we could say death. On the occasion of someone's... Let's run through the facts, shall we? Right? Let's just get this absolutely right. We are talking about someone who has lost his grandmother at a time when divisions in the family are still raw. So the grief, the loss, the bereavement is exacerbated by the knowledge that the peace that had once reigned in that family has been diluted, has been diverted. So that's point number one. He's
diluted just like the gene pool, eh?
Hey! Quite. Yeah, well, there you go.
I mean, by diluted, I mean that she's just that one person. I think has doubled the depth of that gene pool.
True. There are now a second gene has been added.
Exactly. It's now multiple genes that exist in that family. There's a chance that not all of them will be born with 7 toes. Which
true.
Crazy.
He's lost his grandmother, right? and he'd been living abroad, so he wouldn't have had as many conversations with her as he might liked to have had. Number 2, when he was 11, he was compelled by, quotes, protocol, to walk a child, a baby, to walk behind his dead mother's coffin. A mother who was killed, he believes, rightly or wrongly, at least in part, by the uncontrollable, the insatiable attentions of journalists, British.
Or by the woman who's now in the box.
Or Granny Dearest.
You're saying. No, I don't do the conspiracy thing. I think it was just awful. But there's no doubt it was very convenient for them that she was out of the picture. Let's say that.
True.
Yeah.
And foreign journalists who pursued her into a tunnel where the car crashed. Now, the car was being driven by someone who was drunk, and there are obviously questions to be asked about both that and the fact that seatbelts weren't being worn. It's not a simplistic conclusion to arrive at. But if your mum died, how would you feel if I came along and told you that your opinions about your mum's death were worthless or wrong or mistaken? Oh, yeah, all right. Yeah, look, I know it was your mum, mate, but come here. You know, I've got a TV show. Let me tell you what... It's just gross. It's not funny. It's not fair. It's not journalism. It's disgusting. It's vicious and it's vitriolic.
True, and I love the passion, but I do have to say, how is that different than any other? Like, you can tell he's a journalist, and he has a lot of stock in journalism. Or,
yeah,
not literally stock, but a lot of invested personal worth or whatever.
I mean, he genuinely thinks that the journalism as a career and as an institution in this country died with Brexit, basically, and how he thinks that things like client journalism and the ways in which that they've been kind of taken over by the political class that only happened in 2016, right? As opposed to I don't know, for literally the entire history of journalism going all the way back to the fucking brass necks, right?
Yeah, because he's going about like, journalism's, it's this isn't journalism. This is disgraceful. No, it is disgraceful, but it is journalism in Britain. This is what passes for journalism here.
Yeah, exactly.
Like the fact that you have some highfalutin idea of what that should be, it has never been that and is not that.
100%.
Vitriolic. So that's point number 2. Royal funerals for him must be absolutely unbearable, because that 11-year-old boy is very close to the surface in a week like this. That traumatized and, in my view, appallingly treated 11-year-old boy, wheeled out to walk behind that coffin, largely because the PR disaster of the royal family's response to the passing of Diana, Princess of Wales, needed to be assuaged. And what better way to assuage it by having her heartbroken boys walking behind the coffin.
True.
At an age when they wouldn't be allowed into most films on release in this country. At an age when he'd be barely into secondary school in this country, before he'd sat a public exam, before he was considered old enough to, never mind drive a car, he wouldn't be old enough to... You can insert your own example here of just how youthful he was. So that's point number 2, the trauma of attending royal funeral or funereal events. Unbelievable. Number 3, because I don't think this would matter particularly to him, it's his birthday today. And number 4,
that's unfortunate.
Is
I didn't even know that.
Yeah,
Jesus Christ.
He's having a rough one. Let's be honest.
No, he really is.
Not his best week.
No, really isn't.
I don't think you pop this week down in the W column. Is all I'm saying.
No, true, very true. And as I said, like, of all the royals, he's genuinely the only one I have any time for. I do genuinely feel sorry for him.
It's the only one who you think, if you actually met them, they might not be a complete cunt.
Yeah.
No, that's not to say he would be good, but I think you could probably have a conversation with him and think, oh, he seems like a vaguely normal human being.
Yeah, I could go for a beer with Prince Harry.
Probably, although does he go with the Nazi armband every time? Or was that a one-off? I don't know.
I don't know.
I mean, I haven't seen him shirtless. Maybe he's got it tattooed.
Well,
Um,
didn't he get a picture? No, he got snapped by the paparazzi naked one time
I
doing like a dare in
did he? Oh,
fucking
God.
military academy.
Okay, we're all thinking it. What kind of size we're looking at?
I know. I don't think that was included in the pictures, but
Well, that's
even
what's the fucking point then?
well, I mean, to be, but it was supposed to be. Oh, this scandal! Look at someone who's supposed to be a member of the royal family engaging in tomfoolery, and I'm like, it's just him acting like a normal fucking teenager, or a 20-something guy in like
Yeah.
and in the fucking obviously the military's a bad institution, right? But funny games which lend you getting locked outside naked is fucking. That's what these what
Exactly.
fucking
Yeah, like I went skinny dipping. Like
yeah like
who hasn't
yeah.
let the rat out of the cage for a hot second? You know.
Yeah,
It
exactly. Well,
happens.
that's just how 20-something guys will act. Right? It's
Yeah,
nothing's
exactly.
completely fucking harmless, and the
Well,
press tore him to fucking shreds.
not just 20-something, but Lyndon B. Johnson used to get his cock out regularly for people. He was well known for it,
Bill
and
Clinton
he was
definitely took his cock out for people.
true, very, very famously once. Yes.
Yeah,
Of the king that these people claim to revere or respect. And do you know
as of 5 days
what
ago.
they did wrong yesterday?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Do you know what these vampires and ghouls are complaining about? This boy, this man, who had to walk behind his mother's funeral at the last event. Not the last event, because he lost his great-grandmother as well, didn't he? But the event that he will be most reminded of this week would have been the most traumatic and heartbreaking event of his life. Do you know what they're complaining about? I bet you can't even guess. If you're not across this story already, I bet you can't even imagine what these vicious, vile individuals are complaining about today.
Honestly, when I heard it, I thought, well, that's clearly ridiculous. That's got to be like a meme.
No,
The idea that a married couple would hold each other's hands. Look, who cares? Like, yeah, of course. I mean, they also probably breathed in oxygen, I'm sure, as well. What?
converted
Who cares?
protein intake into muscle energy.
Exactly. Did they put one foot in front of the other and walk in a straight line at some point?
That's true. That's true. They
Good
also
Lord.
did that. Like I to be fair, I think I engaged in a pile-on against one of these people, which ended there was like a fucking 12k follower account on Twitter. She ended up
Oh, no.
deleting her account because people were rightly calling her. She was such a fucking vile individual, such an absolute fucking monster. She had no response, no riposte to anyone coming at her saying this is completely fucking ridiculous. She had no response. She just
Yeah.
kept. The only people she would respond to were people who are going, "Oh yeah, jolly good show. I do agree with you. This is this absolutely brazen attitude by Meghan Markle, as people fucking call her. These people, it's as Viv was talking about on stream the other day. These people, they're in a cult. It's cult mentality. It really is.
Yeah. Yeah, holding hands is gay. That is true. Fact.
But they're definitely not racist. Definitely not racist.
No, not at
Oh
all.
no. We'd be this disgusting about anybody if they held hands on their way out of church. That's patriotism for you, according to Meghan Markle's critics. That's reverence for royalty for you, according to Meghan Markle's critics. That's commitment to the monarchy for you, according to Meghan Markle's critics.
Indeed. And for anyone interested, there's just a little cheeky bit of evidence. There's the couple on the left there being castigated, and then the white couple doing exactly the same thing. They're not a lot of criticism for the Tyndalls there.
And quite. Is that the same? Is that the same Tyndall that the rugby player? Am I going mad?
Indeed, it is. Yeah, Mike Tyndall, former
Okay.
England international rugby union star.
Wasn't he in the
but
World Cup
regard-
winning team?
I believe he was. Yes, I believe so. Yeah, and Zara Phillips, or so to say, Nee Phillips. Yeah. So just, I mean, I wonder what the difference is between Whitey McWhiteface and the other couple. Crazy.
Yeah, one couldn't
A man-
possibly comment.
Yeah, well, it can't be racism.
No,
Because
definitely not.
Britain's the
100%
least
not.
racist country on earth.
But again,
Ever.
as I did say, it's also again. there's this huge confluence of things that all comes in all around Meghan and Harry that makes monarchists fucking seethe and rage and cope as well. That's the thing; they definitely do cope too.
Who has suffered the unimaginable pain of being compelled to walk behind his mother's coffin in the eyes of the entire world, held his wife's hand as they came out of a ceremony that would have brought back memory after memory after memory of the worst day of his life, or the second worst day of his life after discovering that he'd lost his mum. Now flip it, all right, and look at it from her point of view. A woman who has been exposed to more abuse from the British media than anybody else I can think of. And I am not exaggerating when I say to you, I would include child killers in that analysis. In terms of paragraphs dedicated and pages counted, vicious, vile criminals have received less abuse and less criticism from the British media than the daughter-in-law of the new king.
Or indeed her uncle-in-law, I suppose, who is a pedophile.
Literally, and Prince Andrew gets more favourable coverage than Meghan Markle does. Although I will say, I think he's missing out one individual who probably got more negative press than Meghan Markle did, and we have actual studies showing that he had incredibly negative media coverage.
Well, presumably you must be referring to Hitler.
Oh no, I mean close. Also anti-Semitic. But I'm actually referring to Jeremy Corbyn.
Jumbly crumbles!
Jumbly crumbles. Well, obviously, James O'Brien doesn't recognise that because he was also one of the ones giving us negative coverage about Jeremy Corbyn.
He was on the inside looking out on that one. Yeah.
True. That was pre death of journalism as far as James is concerned. So it doesn't count.
Yeah, well, exactly, yeah. It doesn't count. It's perfectly fine. That was when journalism was still a noble profession.
Yeah, quite took the words right in my mouth.
The Fourth Estate was still riding proud at that time. Please.
True.
Back in the spotlight, back in the crucible where she knows every single sniff and comma will be attacked as if it were an affront to the entire nation. A woman whose wedding bouquet was described as potentially poisoning her bridesmaids because it contained identical flowers to the bouquet carried by her sister-in-law.
Terrorist flowers. Outrageous.
True.
The wife of Prince William. And guess what happened when she had the cameras pointed at her? Guess what happened when the eyes of the British media and disgusting, shameful elements of the British public that treat her in the most unimaginably horrible way? Guess what happened when she found herself back in that spotlight once again? She took her husband's hand. And I will never know where these people get off unless you tell me. That's your challenge between now and 12 o'clock. What do you think explains the... I almost hesitate to use the thought process phrase. I don't think it's a thought process. What do you think explains the behaviour of people who today have taken it upon themselves to be vile and obnoxious and disgusting about a husband and wife holding hands? What is it that's going on there? 0345 6060.
Well, it's just state religion. That's what
Racism?
it is. Racism, obviously, a huge part of it, but I think the deeper part of it was what I was talking about before, and this kind of state-imposed ideology of what the monarchy means and what it's supposed to represent, and the kind of the historiography of the monarchy as it's being told to members of the public in its kind of censored form. Not only that they, through multiple ways, as I said previously, through multiple ways that they have somehow denigrated how the ways in which that these people want to and have been told they should view the monarchy. Obviously, it should include black people, so racism is one of the things, but it should never be exposed warts and all. right? In the way that, Harry and Meghan decided to do so by explaining the things that they had to go through as,
Yeah.
members of the family themselves, and the expectations that were put upon them, and the racism, then the internal racism that they were subjected to. It's not enough to want to racially abuse Meghan for being, non-white, right? It's also Harry besmirches himself in their eyes by making a light of royal racism as well. Because
Yeah.
because these people are beyond criticism as far as these people are concerned. And so any amount of criticism that was levied at them, whether it be internally from Harry and Meghan, or externally by people defending Harry and Meghan, is seen as treason, right? It's literally seen as treason. I talked about my stream beforehand, watching this Abby Heather video about soft power, and the idea of like the imagined community of Britishness, right?
Yeah.
And they're trying to excise these people from that imagined community through the vitriolic reaction that they have to someone essentially, reneging their duties as a royal, and by reneging on the kind of doctrinaire approach to the ways in which the people feel the monarchy should be represented in the public eye.
I think that's righteous, yeah. Well, righteous analysis, not the thing itself. Good Lord.
Yeah.
973 is the number that you need. That's all I want from you. But just explain it to me. However unpleasant your analysis may be, however unwelcome your explanation may be, these people are queuing up to attack two people. As far as crikey, have they put some foots wrong? I'm sure they have. Some ill-advised adventures in public life, probably. I don't follow things as closely in those circles as I follow other things. But my goodness me, I kid you not. Think of the most prominent critic of Meghan Markle in this country, and then count the criticisms or the condemnations that they have uttered with regard to, and you can pick whichever one you want, whether they're in a newspaper or on the telly or just on social media.
It's literally 100% exactly. We all know it's definitely Piers Morgan. Although Piers Morgan is in a different camp to everybody else. Not only is he racist, not only does he buy into the collective delusion of monarchy, not only does he feel that somehow that the monarchy has been tainted by their existence, but also he's really fucking horny for Meghan and got slighted. And he is an angry man lashing out at rejection.
Yeah, look, there's none so wicked as a Piers scorned.
Yeah, okay? Quite.
Blue balls it does crazy things to a man.
It really does. It really does, and he's definitely never stomped off any sets because of it.
No, definitely not. Still, one of my favourite things ever is Ash Sarkar literally just going, "I'm a communist, you idiot."
Oh, that happens to me all the time. Happens to me all the time in my brain, like on Twitter and shit. Like I'll be in the replies of like Sir Keith Starmer KC.
Yeah.
Like doing like mocking memes in the comments about how he doesn't support working people, and people with like hashtag back Boris in their Twitter bios and shit will like my tweet and go, "Haha, well done for sticking it to Starmer." I'm like, I'm a fucking communist, you idiot! Like, what the fuck are you doing? I'm criticising Keith from the left. It just shows that so many right-wingers in this country have no political ideology other than team sports in the same way that liberals do, right? And that it's red team good, blue team bad, or in their case, blue team good, red team bad. That any criticism of their side must therefore be bad, and any criticism of the other side must therefore be good, regardless of where it's coming from or the ideology that underpins it. These people are fucking idiots. Clowns to the left and clowns to the right.
Exactly. And it's the doing X to own the libs type thing. Literally, they would cut off parts of their own body to annoy their political opponents.
Yeah,
they would kill their own grandmother to fucking annoy the lib. Like it's just ridiculous. It's just spite. Spite-based politics, team sport, shittery.
Yeah, 100%, 100%. It's Harry Potter politics. Literally, there are no good or bad actions. There are only good and bad teams.
And similarly to Harry Potter politics, it's also very transphobic.
Yeah, on both sides, both the liberals and the conservatives.
Well, exactly. Yeah. Well, I mean, fucking likes of Rosie Duffield and fucking what's her name? Cherry. Do you want a cherry? Good lord.
Jan Show. Well, it just seemed like it is. There's this kind of this unique confluence of like kind of veteran transphobia within like kind of the kind of liberal, unironic metropolitan liberal elite, if you could call them such a thing, within the kind of the politically motivated liberal movement in the UK, the hashtag FBPE types on Twitter. For some reason,
those
these
fucking people.
these people have all swallowed the fucking turf crack juice at this point.
Yeah. Well, because
Really
I think for
strange.
some of them, they genuinely think it's the proper feminism, and it's so obviously not that.
Well, they're
Some
all
of
the
them are just
fucking-
far right
yeah.
griftoids as well. Let's be
Yeah.
honest, but some of them are.
But true,
I think genuinely well-intentioned people who don't follow it very closely.
Well, that's probably very true. And also, a bunch of them are people who were very kind of politically motivated during the kind of second wave feminism era. We were talking about this with Viv during the Glinner interview. They're very kind of motivated politically as second wave feminists, and now they're really comfortable middle class people, right? They've got their houses, right? They benefited from the public sector sell off in the 80s and 90s, right? They live in cushy, so they don't really have a kind of political thing to cling to that necessarily makes them want to stay engaged with politics. So as soon as Brexit comes along, or as soon as trans people come along, suddenly there's a thing I can get enraged about again, right? No matter the fact that it's all the trans stuff is all bollocks and the Brexit stuff is, it's happened now. People have to, we've got to try and find a way to make things work, right? But though these people, they need to find a way to continue involved in politics, and both liberals and conservatives are really good at doing that. In the same way, the conservatives will use moral panic to try and continually engaging old people in politics who would otherwise just stop caring and just live watching TV, watching Countdown on TV and eating Werther's Originals. By somehow talking about the woke menace, you keep them hooked, right? Otherwise, they'd switch off from politics as they get a little bit more kind of comfortable, and there's no longer some kind of thing to fight for, which is what usually gets people engaged in politics in the first place.
Yeah. Oh, this is done. I don't know if have you seen Grieve Watch on Twitter?
Oh my god, I have. That's so good.
I have to say, beep, breast we forget, and buy chicken breast is an amazing thing. That is.
Did you not see the Morn melon on Grieve Watch?
Oh yeah. Someone carved Queen Elizabeth onto a melon thing. There we go. Fucking hell. Nice. Watermelons. That's a bit of a stretch, but yeah. It's a shame because it's nicely done. It's quality art, but it's just a fucking waste.
Yeah, it is. It's very, 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 very.
I mean, I'd eat it. Don't get me wrong, I'd absolutely eat it, but
definitely front page on Morn Hub.
True. Salad. No, is that real? That can't be real. Oh no, Platinum Jubilee. Oh, it's Platty Jubes.
Platty Jubes, mate.
Platty Jubes. Yeah, okay, that's fine. That would have been enormously distasteful for a fucking funeral. Anyway, yeah. God. Anyway, it doesn't matter. Right.
Yeah. And then try and explain to me why they reserve more vitriol and viciousness for her than they do for terrorists. It's incredible.
True.
Why do the newspapers do it? But to focus, to go in like a laser, today, what? 3 minutes after 10 is the time, and to publicly complain about a couple holding hands. A couple who have been through all of the things that I have just described
couple.
to you. And the couple whose gravest offence, as far as I can tell, is apparently being so happy. Because there is no greater revenge than happiness.
Well, apparently.
So I can't believe like these thunder cunts who are getting angry, these racists, right? Are getting angry at Meghan, right? These fucking ridiculous people. They're such reprehensible pieces of shit that even I am being forced to defend the monarchy or defend members of the royal family. I'm literally out here defending people like of an unelected dynasty in charge, given special privileges in this country because of how racist these people are. That is literally how bad these people are.
Exactly. Apparently, someone rang in towards this is from that show that we just saw. To object to James's categorization of this.
Let's
which
fucking
might
go.
be worth a cheeky little look.
Couple's dad and father-in-law, or the couple's family, isn't it? Or indeed for their late grandmother. Claire's in Kennington. Claire, what would you like to say?
Oh, hi. I think that in a way you're a bit guilty of this false news thing. You've been reporting about the time of the queues, which is actually shorter than it's being publicised, and it's been sensationalised. Because I
Really? Because they've literally got a thing, and it's still saying 9 hours. At gone 11 in the fucking evening, people are queuing up in the middle of the night.
5 miles of queue.
5 miles of queues. It's 11 and they go home. Go home. What are you doing?
No, they are home, Kev. They are home, Kev. No,
They
they're
are
home for
home.
2 reasons, right? They're so British that they're at home because they're waiting for the fucking Queen, and they're at home because they're in a queue. That's how committed they are to the imagined community of Britishness.
Platty queues. Yes,
Platty
let's go.
queues. Play queues.
I've read some of the stuff online today. Admittedly, I don't buy newspapers very often anymore. And I don't think they're having a massive go at Meghan Markle. I think they're just pointing out that that's what happened. And from my point of view, I'm not a royalist. I'm not a particular. I like to watch.
Sorry, that's just ridiculous. I'm sorry. Maybe this person just really hasn't been paying much attention or something. Maybe they just only are kind of engaged with this tangential, not as Twitter brained as you or I or James O'Brien himself, right? Clearly not. They just have not engaged to not know that this is the amount of vitriol that's been spewed at these people for something so fucking innocuous.
Yeah. Also, clearly, this person doesn't believe the real length of the queue. So God save the queue is good. Sorry.
It's QAnon. That's what
exactly.
it is.
QAnon. QAnon.
Yeah.
There's a conspiracy about the length of the queue. It's true.
Watch these things because I think they're
Of
sort
course.
of majestic
Will
and
do,
the
yes.
historic importance. And I am sympathetic towards, what's happened to him and his mother, but as part of a very formal procession, and correct me if I'm wrong, but I think they were the only couple to hold hands when they were in Westminster Hall as part of that.
No, they weren't. They just weren't.
The
That is
Tyndalls
incorrect.
were literally right in front of them. Like literally,
Yeah.
the person who I got them to delete their account because they were being I was part of the cacophony that got them to delete their account for being so racist, right? In the literal video that they showed trying to critique Harry and Meghan for holding hands, the nonce himself, Andrew, was literally in shot. He was literally in shot the whole video. And I was like, you're literally getting mad about
But was he
that.
holding hands?
I mean, not in shot. He
Checkmate.
wasn't.
Checkmate.
Yeah, and I mean, he could hold hands with as many fucking underage girls, and they wouldn't bat an eyelid. But as soon as fucking Harry, as soon as the black woman held hands, there you go.
He could have been literally walking around with a child on the end of his cock, and they wouldn't have said a fucking word.
No, 100%,
But
100%.
a married couple, loving relationship, holding hands in public, it's degenerate filth.
100%. I mean, clearly, these are very Greek people. They believe in the kind of Greek orthodoxy and the way that these things should be done. Pederasty, not a problem.
Yeah.
Not a problem with pederasty. But as soon as you actually see a loving relationship between a man and a woman, suddenly that's gone too far.
Well, considering Prince Philip was a Greek, that makes sense, I think.
Yeah, well, there you go.
Formal part of the procession.
I know that Zara Phillips and her husband held hands in the hall as well.
There was someone else as well. Was it you, Jenny, and her partner, or something like that? But I mean, it's such an obviously fabricated load of old shit. Anyway, who cares? They weren't holding hands over the coffin. Like that would be a bit weird. They were just walking out of the thing. Oh. These people they're just racist, fucking idiots.
Yeah, exactly. As a confluence of many things, racism being a large part of it.
Yeah. Weren't in the procession a little bit, though, were they?
What difference does that make?
Were because I think it's being televised. It's part of this big show of monarchy.
Yeah.
And it's very, very formal, and everyone else managed not to do it. And in that way,
Maybe
I think
they didn't want to.
Self-indulgent.
Self-indulgent.
Yeah, I think it's a bit self-indulgent to feel the need to hold hands when they're part of such a really formal bit of the procession.
Is there a place we can go to find out when it is and is not acceptable to hold hands with your wife? Because I'd hate to get it wrong myself at a family funeral.
I know it must be absolutely horrendous.
But where do you get your where are you getting your guidance from on this?
Yeah, this is the other one. Sorry, yeah, whoever these two fucking inbred dolts are. They were both white though, so that's
Beatrice, right?
That's Beatrice and Mr. Beatrice.
Mr. fucking haircut.
Exactly. Well, to be fair, yeah, he's looking smart. I'll give him that. But
true, he's definitely got a higher hairline than most of the people in that royal line.
True. Well, he's from outside of the line, so he's probably like an Italian or Greek king or something. Anyway. Yeah, still 9-hour queues. Absolutely mad.
I just think the fact that people have noticed it suggests that you don't do it quite then. But I agree, it must be really difficult to actually follow every royal protocol, especially if you haven't been brought up as part of it.
It's the part of the day that they did it in, because I've got pictures in front of me of other couples holding hands in exactly the same room.
Yeah, from my perspective it is, because I think it's much more noticeable because it gets broadcast around the world.
But you've only noticed it because
they're in Westminster Hall.
You've only noticed it because you looked up all the people being horrible on social media. You don't read the newspapers and you didn't notice it yourself on the television.
Well, to be fair, I think I have noticed it in certain situations.
We're only talking about one situation, aren't we? What other situations? What other situations are you thinking of now, Claire?
Look, I'm quite a tactile person myself, and I'm a big believer in.
Well, don't hold your husband's hand at your grandma's funeral, whatever you do, Claire, because people like you will be slagging you off on national radio. No, it's not different.
It is. I think it is different. I think
because they're better than you.
And it's in Westminster Hall. No.
Again,
in Westminster Hall.
Yeah, they can't. There's no justification. It's literally going back to that girl that we watched earlier who just said, "Oh, but she's the Queen." Right, she's the Queen of England. As if the fact that it's in Westminster Hall is somehow a justification in itself. Yeah. Like, no, he's a grieving grandchild. Fucking hell.
Yeah. In terms of the reverence for the royal family in that room, that was the room where they literally sentenced the first King Charles to death. So, like, I don't know that it's in Westminster Hall is necessarily a defence of royal protocol on this one.
Yeah, executions, fine. Public, very, very mild public displays of affection, banned. Exactly. Completely forbidden, extricated from the royal family entirely, not allowed.
Well, it's much worse than all of that. So I presume they're going to put a plaque up. This is where the disgusting heterosexual filth, the inbred,
the name
miscegenating race traitor held their hands.
They disgraced the name of Saxe Coburg, Gotham, Mountbatten, Windsor. Angry rage.
Yeah. Oh.
Because it's a show, and if you're going to be part of that show,
right,
you just need to.
So, what were the other examples you were thinking of a moment ago?
In sort of formal situations, I guess. But I'm not saying that it's only
in formal. When do the royal family do non-formal occasions?
Yeah, quite.
Whenever they're in public, it's a formal occasion. It's the fucking royal family.
Yeah,
it's not that they do dress down Fridays or something. Like, what the fuck are you talking about?
Well, again, that's what I'm saying. That's what I'm just saying. Was saying before about how these people have just a certain image in their mind of how the royals must theoretically deport themselves and how they must appear in public at all times to be able to conform to this kind of myopic idea of what they believe the monarchy and the royals should be. It's the same kind of brain poison that led to these people getting angry with Harry for, being pictured by the paparazzi doing dare challenges with his military mates, right? Like, it's the same, it's all the same kind of thing. And it's exactly the same reason why the racism comes out with regards to Meghan Markle, because it, again, impacts this internal kind of fucking, again, myopic idea that they have of the expectations of royalty.
necessarily only then. Well, as part of the processions and things like that, I think they tend to be more slightly more tactile, and I think it is more noticeable. But it's only because
and you have a problem.
proximity
You have a problem with that. Why?
I don't have a huge problem
Why
with
have you
it
rung me then?
in many ways, because I think my point.
So you're not a monarchist, and you don't have a big problem with it, but you rang into a national TV radio show about it.
Yeah.
Why?
It's really strange, these kind of people. Why is it always James O'Brien that gets the nutters calling in? I guess the kind of people who listen to talk radio.
Well, because he's the only one who actually says anything that isn't just the same party line thing. It's like, I mean, I'm not suggesting he's some sort of rebel, but on LBC, it's like Nick Ferrari and fucking Farage did a show there for you. Like, it's just
Andrew
the same
Marr,
right-wing
Ian Dale.
cuntery. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, like
And he's one of
like
the ones who'll stand up and say, actually, no. Sometimes the emperor doesn't have clothes on. You know?
quite so. And Natasha Devon is the other one because she's explicitly pro-trans. So
yeah. Lord Fritters, yeah, I have considered ringing in, and I've made the promise that if I ever do get a partner, which I definitely won't, I will ring into James and take him to task about Jombley Crumbles.
Jombley Crumbles, indeed.
But
I will make sure to try. I won't
get through.
I'll try and call him. You got to pretend to be a disgruntled back Boris conservative who he will happily be able to denigrate, and then you have to lie to these people. Like, you have to lie to the people who do the question time audience. You have to lie to the people who decide who gets polled by YouGov, and you have to lie to LBC to be able to get on the air.
True. Okay, I'll just ring up and say actually, no, I think Liz Truss is awesome. Yeah.
Yeah, it's very true.
Let's go.
Point is that it's being televised, and in that particular point,
it's being televised. So's Match of the Day. Like what?
So does Total Wipeout, right?
Exactly. Yeah. Don't besmirch Total Wipeout. Okay, those balls are really difficult to get across, and then you've got the rope swing thing. Come on now. It's a part of British culture.
So they broadcast Holmes in the Hammer every fucking weekday. But something being televised means nothing.
Yeah, everything. Name me a thing that isn't the fucking Queen doing nothing in a box is being televised live for 4 fucking days. Like, Jesus.
At that particular point, it's the majesty of Westminster Hall. It's the history of it.
The majesty
and they are
of the
very
hall.
formal, aren't they? That's the way they do it.
Yes, but
I suppose the majesty of Wembley Stadium.
And it was horrible.
Well, exactly. To be honest, the new Wembley is a bit shit. I'll be honest with you. I'm just saying.
I don't dislike it. Like I remember when it was released, and everyone's like, "What the fuck is going on? This is an eyesore." And I was like, "Stadium, mate. Like as long as the sports keep happening, I'm fine with it."
I have my issues. I'd have preferred them to. Well, I'd prefer them to keep the Twin Towers. I'd have preferred them to have the open walkway up to the collection of the trophy bit that they had at the old one. I'd prefer them not to have any corporate, but if they're going to have corporate, don't have them on camera so that at half time, when you come back for the second half the stadium looks fucking empty because the prawn sandwich cunts. Like, there are several issues I have with the stadium, but it is also kind of majestic. And frankly, if one had to go, I'd get rid of the moniker.
Yeah, true, 100%. No shot.
Horrible,
but here is Zara and Mike Tyndall walking up exactly the same room, holding hands.
Come on, James. I've already made that point.
What point is it you think you've made? That they did it 10 minutes earlier, so it's okay. If they'd done it 10 minutes later.
You don't want Twin Towers. Hassan already took care of it. Not those Twin Towers. I should point out for Americans listening. Sorry. Oh, Jesus fucking Christ. There used to be I'll have to show you the fucking... can I even type in Twin Towers? Twin Towers Wembley, right. Oh, there used to be, at the old Wembley, there were these Twin Towers. Right? Those are the ones I'm referring to, not the Al-Qaeda one. These ones were knocked down by regular construction site work.
We don't know what the 9/11 hijackers did in their day job.
Well, are you suggesting this was preparation? They took down these Twin Towers as this was. I mean, really, they were going method with it. They took these ones down and then
they had to understand properly that how structural integrity would allow it to collapse.
Well, look, the old Wembley, was it an inside job? I mean, literally, yes. It was very
Yes,
well planned
yes.
out. They built a new stadium and everything.
And they built, and they're
It's really-
building a new World Trade Center. It fucking all fits. It all fits.
True. Never forget, people. Never forget.
True.
They're not
Wouldn't be.
part of the formal procession, and
Right.
it is formal, and therefore be formal.
Right.
That's my point.
Okay.
But-
And finally,
but I'm
my,
not-
my point
I'm not
again is
certainly-
where
I'm
does
not-
one go to find this guidance? I mean, on what basis are these
Well,
people deciding that it
know.
was
Also,
inappropriate
hang a
behaviour?
minute. So and then specifically there, she spent all of the time going the majesty of Westminster Hall and the history of Westminster Hall, right? That they can't hold hands in there. And then James O'Brien comes back and says, well, hang on a minute, they were also pictured there in the same hall, also holding hands. And now she's like, well, actually, no, it's the formality. Well, no, well, is it Westminster Hall or not? Does it really matter? So actually, Westminster Hall doesn't really fucking matter. It matters about what specific period of the grief session do the hands come into contact with you? It makes no fucking sense. She has no argument.
Yeah. No. Well, there is no argument. Yeah. Ridiculous.
Well, I think I agree with you that it must be a minefield.
Hello, Mixed Vivian Wolf, by the way. Everyone go and follow Mixed Vivian Wolf. She's awesome.
Definitely.
So,
And,
if he's not allowed to wear
know-
his uniform, is he still subject to all the other protocols as well?
I don't think anybody actually knows the answer to that, do
Well,
they?
you do.
No, I don't know the answer to it.
Well, here
And
you
I,
are.
I know, but you
She has
you're
enough of
trying
an
to make it
opinion.
very sort of black and white.
Right.
or,
No, I'm not.
one extreme to the other.
I'm
but
quite the
my
opposite. I'm
point
trying to
is
understand why
that
anybody would
just
ever have a
that
problem
moment,
with two
if you're-
people holding hands.
Because I just think that was just such a formal occasion that you just need to not do it.
What do you think?
You need to not do. Look, it's such a formal occasion. You shouldn't shit on the floor. Granted,
Yeah.
it's such a formal occasion. You shouldn't hold hands. Is a bit of a stretch because you know who also held hands? Hitler.
True. Hitler did indeed do that. You know who also held hands? Jeremy Corbyn. John
It's
Lee
another thing
crumbles
he's got-
himself.
It's another thing he's got in common with Hitler. Yeah, I said it.
Well, it's the same
Queen
shit
would
when they did the same thing to John Lee Crumbles with regards to the fucking Queen anyway, right? Slighting
Yeah.
the royals, instantly excised from public discourse.
Well, he didn't bow correctly.
You know, everyone had their fucking protractors out, right? Finding out
Yeah.
how the angle of the bow. I'm sure they were definitely gonna get like the measuring stick out to understand how much hand was in contact and how that compared to the
you've gotta-
Tyndall's amount of hand contact.
They get the ruler out and they measure how far down your throat you stick the boot in order to deep throat it. And if you don't go far enough, look, if you're not testing the gag reflex, you're not committed to the bit. Clearly.
No, 100%. And she even said that. And James was like, "Well, hang on a minute. Well, what about that? Like, was that really part of the protocol?" And she was like, "Well, nobody knows. I don't know." Well, if you don't know about the fucking protocol, why do you have such a huge opinion on whether or not you thought that the holding hands was against the protocol? You're admitting
look.
that you don't know nothing.
Look, you can prove anything with facts. So
True.
don't take them into account when blathering your stupid fucking opinion.
These days, mate, you hold hands, right? You hold hands with your wife in Westminster Hall, and you get arrested and thrown in jail.
Indeed. Well, as should be the case, yes.
True.
Clearly.
I think she's very politic, isn't she? And
So I'd like to hold hands with my wife. I'd like to hold hands with my wife, Grandma. Is that okay with you?
Maybe if she'd have been there, they wouldn't have done it. I don't know.
Well,
Yeah.
I mean, if she'd been there, there
What?
wouldn't be a funeral, Claire.
Technically, she was there.
In spirit.
Technically, she's very much. Well, no. In fact, the body is there. She's less likely to object, I think. Really, I don't know that she's going to jump up and chastise them, But still, she is technically.
Like this idea that somehow, if she was alive, they would have been somehow more willing to follow the perceived protocol and formality that this woman believes should have been followed at the time, despite not knowing what the protocol and formality was and not understanding her own argument. Apparently, if the Queen had been alive rather than dead, they would have been more willing to be more formal. What? What the
Very
fuck?
normal. Very normal. We're a normal country. Anyone
Just
who says
another
otherwise
day on
gets
Normal
arrested.
Island.
Yeah, and if you disagree, you get arrested.
Yeah, and
Simple.
thrown in jail.
Yeah.
These days.
Exactly. Which is just going back to royal protocol of yore. Because
Yeah.
that used to always be the case. You went against the king, you went to the tower. Simples.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, I think we can all agree on that. But if
No,
she was asked her
I'm just
opinion
saying
by
that-
her grandson, who said, "I'd really like to hold Meghan's hand at this point in proceedings," how do you feel about that? What do you think she would have said?
Oh, for fuck's... Thank you for linking me this. This is amazing. They've got watering stations and toilets. Which I suppose, practically speaking, is probably the right way to go. But look, it's
unreal. It's just normal Ireland being normal, being incredibly normal. We have queue. We love queuing.
Time out.
Yeah.
Time out. So I've got a fucking text to speech, which thank you 255 is one of this. That's mental. It's got lots of Greek names. Thank you for the bits. But there were lots of Greek names and Paleologos, Dragos, Paleologos, Greek something, and I couldn't hear a fucking word you were saying. I apologise. Sorry, go on.
Oh yeah, no. But normal Ireland, we love queuing and we love the royalty so much that the queue is so long that we actually need watering spots. We need toilets along the queue. We need to be able
to... of the queue.
It's Showsec, right? It's literally, Showsec, how they have the people who, they handle like the queues, like when you go to festivals, like Download or whatever, and like Showsec, the big guys in the yellow t-shirt, the yellow polo shirts come along. Like the queue is such an event. We need show security for the queue.
Yeah, look, there's so many amazing bits to this map. It's an official map, by the way. This is from the government, publicservice.gov.uk, right? It's a proper government fucking thing. The actual end of the queue is in Southwark Park, the other side of Bermondsey, which is fucking mental. You've got first aid stations, accessible toilets, blah, 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 water fountains, bag drop. You can drop your bag off.
It's literally just like a fucking like a music event. You pay to the cloakroom, right? Except probably less dancing this time, unless I'm at the end of the queue, obviously. In which case, I'm going to be waiting for the grave to get dug.
Yeah, well, exactly. I like the idea. You go in one of the porta potties, and there's literally a guy there with some aftershave and some. He's like, a little spritz and a lollipop.
Yeah.
That's a very British nightclub reference. Never mind. Anyway,
let's have a look. Let's have a look. Where? So I mean, is the queue? Is that picture that it's showing there? Is that showing? Cause that's the end of the queue at the other end of Bermondsey, right?
Yeah.
Is that showing where? Is the queue just literally full the whole time?
I don't know. To be honest with you, I'm not sure. I don't know if they've. Presumably, it's not social distanced, but I don't know. I'm not sure. Is there a live cam on the queue? What we need, is a live cam for the queue as well as the actual corpse.
I mean, there must be, there must be like London cameras and whatever. Anyway, let's get back to this woman.
Hang on, what London queue camera? Let's have a look. Let's see. That's the lying in state, but that's not what we're after. We want the queue. From today, I guess. I don't know. Live. Look at these dickheads. They're camping out and all sorts. Jesus. Anyway, let's get through this, shall we?
I don't know, but
do you think she would have said, "Well, let's check with Claire. Let's check with Claire in Kennington."
No, I've told you I don't know the absolute answer to when and
I think you
when
do.
you shouldn't.
I think you do. Really, I think it's your grandma's funeral, and you want to hold your wife's hand. I don't even think there's a debate to be had or a conversation to be had. And I think you probably know that deep down. But I respect you and I thank you for having a crack at trying to explain the behaviour of these ghouls and vampires. And we must put on the record the argument that it's very, very different to do it at that precise point in proceedings as opposed to at previous or subsequent points in proceedings when other people did it. Ashida is in Greenford. Ashida, what would you like to say?
Anyway, let's. I think we'll leave it there.
Fair enough. Anyway, for the purposes of this YouTube segment, if you enjoyed this, you can like, comment, and subscribe, and ring the bell which will let you know when I go live, and also follow me on all good social media channels. That's probably actually it's on my screen. They can follow them there. But that's the end of the segment.